So, as I tweeted earlier this week, because I was
Mhm.
playing this week as well,
Yeah.
I have put that game down.
You quit. Like a
I quit.
quitter.
Yep.
Man, oh man.
I was on, and it actually wasn't the Emmy that I'm about to talk about that led me to quit the game, but I was down to two of them left.
Okay.
So I feel like I mean, it's about 7 hours into the game.
Yeah.
Um, and I just realized because spoiler warning, I
Okay.
guess should probably say, and I don't think this won't really spoil anything for you, Phil, because I won't tell you why it happens. But there's a story beat
Mhm.
that takes the Emmys out of the equation
Okay.
for a chunk of the game,
Yeah.
and then they come back. And that's fine. But during that portion of the game, I was finding myself I was enjoying everything around the Emmys stuff anyway,
Mhm.
and not having to deal with it. I was really, really getting into the game. So I was sort of picking it up and playing it whenever I could, right? Like over my lunch hours and stuff like that. Um, and then they came back, and I was sort of pushing on and really trying to soldier on through things that I wasn't enjoying. And then I realized for about a 3 day stretch that I hadn't enjoyed the game while I was
Okay.
playing it. I spent more time cursing at it and being really, like, oh my God, I have to do this again.
Oh,
So it's like, you know
oh
what?
Yeah.
I came to the conclusion that, the game's not for me. And then you can argue and debate over whether it's good design or bad design. I have my opinions on that stuff. Um, Clearly there was a design philosophy behind it. Like we mentioned last week or the week before, I don't think this game. I feel like putting an easy mode in this game would kind of go against what they were trying to accomplish
Mhm.
with the game, especially when it comes to the Emmys. I think putting an easy mode in there would really take away from what the reason they're there, right? I
Yeah.
mean, they're supposed to be there because you done screwed up and you're dead. Try again. Um, so as much as I would love there to be something like that there, I do understand why it's not there. And for people who are looking for that kind of challenge, it's great. But I had to really push myself to get as far as I did. And I don't mean from a skill point level, but just from an enjoyment level.
Mhm.
And then when I realized that I'm doing this because I feel obligated to, as opposed to enjoying it, I was like, yeah, I'm done. And unfortunately, because of sort of the technical expertise, I guess, because I mean, we talked about this last week, Phil, where man, Samus has a lot of you use every button on that controller,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and you need to know where everything is in a fraction of a second because and it only gets more complicated as the game goes on. Um, it's one of those games that I feel like if you put it down, especially as far in as I was,
Mhm.
I can't pick this up again in a month. I'm going to be completely, and it's not even
Right.
about being lost. It's about the skills having atrophied
Right.
enough that I just will not be capable of dealing with the situation. Because one of the things that I will say, and I will argue that I think is poor design, but again, this is what they're going for. It feels more like something in the vein of like a Souls game. Is
that's exactly what I was going to bring up.
right, and there are people who love those challenges, and but
I
it's not
love
me.
that series. I wanted to ask you. Well, go ahead, finish your
So anyway,
thought
yeah,
there.
my biggest thing, there's two things in particular. They kind of intertwined. When you take the Emmys out of the equation,
Mhm.
which they did at one point, um, the Samus never feels powered up. And I get that the game is called Dread. And, every time you talk to the computer, it's telling you, like, you're outclassed, you're outnumbered, you're screwed, you have no hope. Like the computer, every time you get into a scene where the computer's talking to you, Adam, I think
Yeah.
it's driving that home, right? You're
Yeah.
still screwed, even though you've got all this stuff and you've got, like, at one point, I think he actually says you've got almost all of your abilities back. You're still screwed. So they really go for that. So you never, ever, ever feel powered up in that game.
Mhm.
Again, I realize it's on purpose, but that's not what I'm looking for. And in previous Metroids, at least the ones that I have strong, good memories of, you do get to a point where you're kind of running through, especially older areas, where it's like, you're just charging through because nothing can hurt you. You're super powered at that point, right? Um, so it's a huge switch from there. And then the other thing that's kind of intertwined with that, which again we spoke about, I think last week, was how the game loves to lock doors behind you. There is exploration and there is backtracking eventually. But there's I don't know how many different kinds of locked door there are in the game, right? Like there's the ones you can open with your regular shot. There's ones you can open with the triple plasma shot. There's ones you can open once you've upgraded that shot. There's missile doors. There's super missile doors. They're probably ice missile doors. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And because you don't choose every time you upgrade your gun, it's just it just upgrades. And you don't choose them, the weapons, and you never ever get powered up. The new weapons feel like keys. They don't feel like power, So anyway, those are the two things that I really do feel could have been done differently. But again, that game is just not for me. So,
did you go on to watch someone finish it? Have you?
No.
So it really just didn't even hold you.
No, and I was actually getting into the story. There is a good story there, but yeah, I was just too frustrated by it, and I'm kind of in the back of my head thinking like, someday I might go try to do a Metroid run through, and maybe I'll try this game again. But I'll probably check out a run through of it at some point. I mean, I keep seeing people uploading videos, especially on Twitter, because also if you want to get 100% of the items, man, some of the acrobatics you have to pull off to reach some of the items in the game is like, what do they call that? Like in the Mario Maker levels, Kaizo or Kaizo?
Oh, the like super
like
difficult
perfect,
just for the yeah.
That's what you need to be able to do to get every item in Metroid. Now, it's not required.
Sure.
But, and if you see somebody do it, you're like, wow, that is crazy impressive. Like that is, you are
I'm that way
skillful.
I'm that way about the Souls games. I cannot stand playing them.
Yeah.
But I can watch them endlessly.
Oh, yeah.
If I can watch a good runner play Souls, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
But I don't know what, there's something just does not click with me for those games, control wise and all of it. But I think they're beautiful and so cool.
Yeah. And Dread, Dread belongs. Dread, this is not another M. This is not another other M situation where it's just a terrible Metroid game.
Right.
This game belongs and deserves the respect that the Metroid series has. It belongs with that series. Absolutely. It's very well done. But I'm likening it to kind of like the way I feel about Final Fantasy games now. I mean, when I was in my 20s and coming up through the years, Final Fantasy was one of my favorite series. But I realized at around Final Fantasy 12 that series has left me behind. It's not for me anymore, right? It's for the new fans that are going to continue buying them into the future. But I feel like this might be that turning point for Metroid for me as well. I hope it's not, but I feel like it could be.
So this is technically the answer of Metroid 4 that